In this video, I'm gonna show you how I turn this into this. All of these splashy leaves, look at this plant. Just look at it. Tons of silvers, tons of splash. And I'm so excited to share this journey. So y'all know that I am absolutely obsessed with this plant. But again, Future Kevin put in that picture again. It started out as a specimen that had maybe one leaf that had a little bit of splash. And I was just kind of like tenacious, wanting to bring back that splash. And I did have a moment of like root rot that happened that actually helped. It actually helped produce this. And so I'm so thankful that this plant had root rot. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the journey I've had with this plant. And I really want to share this. I think this is the video I was kind of most excited to share because you'll see. It's been quite a journey and I'm so thankful. And I honestly think that I've been so lucky with this specimen. So this started in April or May of 2022. So a little over a year and a half. And I got this plant in this box of 9 Hoyas. This Hoya was never on my radar. It was never ever on my radar. And so, I wasn't too excited, especially during the unboxing. It was very like meh because I know how silver or splash can behave if you don't have a good specimen. And so I wasn't hopeful at all. I threw her originally in LECA, and after 3 months, she pushed out all this beautiful growth. This is the Hoya Mathilde splash, and you could see it with the bottom leaves. Oh wow, look at that leaf. Oh my gosh. I'm probably gonna cut it right away actually, just over here. Okay, here she is. So, not that splashy. I was like, okay, well, I'll probably just cut it back once there's more growth, and then I'll see if the silver comes out. But there was a new growth point from the main plant. Look at this silver. Oh my God, let me get that. Look at specifically this leaf. Look at that. I don't really see any in the newer leaves over here, but you never know. Because if it wasn't for this growth point, it would have been just a normal Mathilde. And this is what I'm doing. Like I'm just trailing it down just to activate new growth points at different nodes. And because I did that, we have a new growth. That is silver. Is it Mathilde silver or Mathilde splash? I'm not even sure. Wow, so here she is. Let's do a before. Here's the before and here's the after. So I think I propagated part of it and both are still alive in here, so that's great. Can I just say it's been a while since I watched that footage. I mean, that was a year ago. I don't usually watch back my content unless I'm doing videos like these. So watching it, I actually can't believe that she was that green. I can't believe the specimen was that green. Obviously she had like one splashy leaf, maybe like a half splashy leaf at the time, but a lot of it, and the growth was gorgeous. Like Mathildes are just gorgeous. They're so beautiful when they trail. There was barely any splash. So, I continued to let it grow. And remember, there were 2 plants in there. So I'll say this now, the second plant in there, it only produced green leaves. There was not, substantial splash in that plant. So I just continued to propagate that one and just make normal Mathildes. So I do want to show you the product of that vine or that plant, just because I want to stress that it's in the genetics of the vine or where that new growth point will come out. It's kind of similar to variegation. When like you see a node on like a variegated monstera, a variegated philodendron, and you see that variegation going through that node, or that part of the stem, you have a higher chance that there's going to be variegation coming out in that new growth point. It doesn't guarantee it, but it increases the odds if you see it there. And sometimes, and it's kind of hard to tell with Hoyas, like sometimes you will like never know what the vine will produce. These aren't even like direct propagations from that plant. I took propagations, I made 2 planters just like this. They grew so much, I gifted both of them. So those plants vined. Before I gave them to my friends, I took single leaf cuttings and then I made these 2. So they've grown quite a bit. They were only 2 leaves, but this kind of showcases also that the Mathilde is very, very fast. So just because I think it's only been 3 months and these are the results. I'm gonna stress this again. It was from the same plant. Y'all know that I got this plant as like one plant. This plant did have a growth point. When I first got it, I cut in half. The top cutting, that was predominantly green at the time. Like that's what I showed y'all. Like that's the product of that specific plant. I don't know if that's making sense. Again, I just want to make it crystal clear. It will always depend where in the node, where on the plant it's pushing out new growth. Like that will kind of determine the degree of splash the new growth point will have. Fast forward 3 months after that, so December 2022, so a year ago. Oh my God, this is like a year update. That is wild. Okay, a year ago, that is when I discovered the root rot. So she was still living in LECA. The roots rotted away. And at that point, I couldn't save any of the root system. I had to just propagate the plant. I'm a little scared, guys. Hoya Mathilde Splash, for some reason, she's feeling extra dehydrated. I feel like there's a root rot situation happening. So my theory, guys, is that when I put her in that container, when I was treating for spider mites, the reservoir might have been too full and it was just sitting, and I guess the roots didn't like it. So, I'm so like annoyed by this. And I mean, it's okay. Like I can potentially just take cuttings. Okay, so there's 2 plants in here. Let's take out the one that's not that variegated. So there is a lot of root just death. Do you see those skinny strands of roots? I'm just gonna take a closer look here. Yeah, these are bad. All the roots, they're done. And so I'm just gonna cut all these roots. What I'm planning to do is basically, I'm gonna resubmerge the stem and then start from the beginning. Actually, this is worse than I thought. So when I feel the stem, do you see how bendy? So I'm gonna have to cut her back. I'm just cutting her here. I'm annoyed by this one. I suspect that the same thing's happening with this one here. So I'm annoyed because obviously I've said this in the past, like I was cutting this back until I got the splashiness back, which I did. So I think I might have to chop her again, and maybe that might promote more splash, but it would have to come from the splashy parts of the plant. Yeah, none of these are good, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this all the way back. All these are dead. I'm gonna have to cut the stem all the way up here because that's the part where it feels firm. I'm just spraying my shears. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna do anything, guys. And this might be a mistake, but I'm cutting it more. Okay, I'm just gonna put them in a self-watering pot of pon. So just a layer of some pon here. Okay, so because these don't have roots, I'm just taking them and just pushing them through the pon. Okay, a little sad, guys, but we're just gonna start from the beginning again. So I'm just gonna run water over. And really more than ever, guys, I just really need to keep an eye on these. The amount of splash that this plant produced. So in April 2023, I showed this during one of my favorites videos. I'm like thinking about it. It's just so stunning, and I was so shocked at, like, I don't know, wow. And I got a lot of DMs about like how I bring out the splash. Again, I think I was just like lucky, but it was really how much I propagated this plant back and, you know, luck and just crossing my fingers. So Hoya Mathilde Splash, let me go grab her. Wow. Again, I said I would keep an eye on the splash and how it looked in the newest leaves. This vine looks fantastic, but look at the splash. It is just stunning. So that's one vine. The second vine less, but from time to time, it's a pretty balanced like splash to green ratio, I would say. So that's a win in my books. Same with this one over here. And actually on this vine, there's a separate branch that does have splash on one side, green on the other side. So it's kind of following that pattern here. But yeah, this one is just outstandingly splashy. Like, so consistent. Teacher Kevin put in a picture, the specimen that I had only had one leaf that was splashy, which means there's some genetics in the node of that plant where the leaf was coming out of that will give you splashy foliage. Propagated it in single node cuttings, crossed my fingers again, and then we got this specimen. So I didn't buy this plant the way it looks now. Like, I had to keep chopping, and I got really lucky, and I'm so happy. It is truly one of my favorite plants. So that still didn't stop me. I was like, I need to make more. this is like a situation where you need to preserve the splash. You need to make more. There's a chance, you know, because you have those splashy leaves on both sides of the stem, the chance of the genetics of like having a growth point with a lot of splash is much higher. And so I was like, I need to know if this is going to continue. So I propagated this plant down. I think I may have kept one vine that was like the splashiest of them all because I was so obsessed with it. And I was also just scared that it wasn't going to produce any splash after I cut it. So I think I kept one vine, but then the rest of the plant I chopped up. I think it's time to chop up my Hoya Mathilde. I said before that I was gonna chop it once I saw maybe like too much green in the vines, but also I was thinking like if there's a vine that's pushing out a new growth from a splashy part and the vine has splash, then like why not make more splashy vines? Like potentially, do you see? Like, can you see how many splashy like plants I could potentially get? This is the one where I'm like, it's kind of looking not splashy anymore. There's a green leaf and a splashy leaf over there. Third vine, it's kind of happening. So splashy leaf one side, green leaf the other side, and then the next node is that. And update, because remember I was like, I keep cutting the green vines just to promote more new growth points and potentially get more splash. So I did that with one plant in here and look what happened. This is a new leaf. And remember, this is the plant that only had the splashing on half this leaf. And now look at this. Crazy, unbelievable guys. So that's exciting. So yeah, I'm a little sad because obviously this plant is just so beautiful, but let's do it. Y'all know that I can't help myself. So starting off with this one, probably gonna cut right over here. Bam. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this vine. I kind of want a new growth point to come out of this side of the node. Let's cut it. Not too hopeful with this one, but we'll try it. This one looks great, and we're just gonna keep going. I think I might stop here. So you could kind of see that there is splash. It's not like fully covering the leaf, but it's always good to see that splashy silver. But the reason why I stopped there is because look at this. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous leaf. So potentially I could have made another cut because there is a really splashy leaf at the node below it, but there's always a chance that there will be a new growth at both. And so I'm gonna keep the rest of this vine as is. The lower leaves, you could kind of see a half and half situation. So yeah, we'll keep her like that. Then we have these cuttings here. So that's fantastic. Moving on to this vine over here. Fully green leaves. I'm not gonna throw it out, I'm gonna keep it. Next one, we have a silver one and a green one. And then I guess this vine is, you know, kind of similar to the last one where you're not getting like full splash on a lot of the leaves, like it's more of a half and half situation. And so I'm just continuing. So similar to the last one, I'll probably leave these two. So you can see that they have a fair amount of splash on them. And also the node before that is the same. The node before that actually is pushing out new growth that I'm probably gonna chop too. So that new growth from the really splashy leaves has kind of a half and half situation. So splashy leaf and then green. So I'm probably gonna cut this one as well. I like can't believe I'm doing this, y'all. What am I doing? Okay, and I'm really debating. Oh, should I just keep this one? This is so pretty. Okay, maybe I'll keep it. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for these because who knows if this new growth that's coming out from one of the earlier nodes is gonna have splash. So maybe I'll wait to see what that does because are you kidding? It is so hard to find a good specimen of the Mathilde splash. Okay, let's see. Oh. Are you kidding? Wow, that's where you're taking off. Oh gosh, do I need a bigger pot? Oh my god, do I need a bigger pot? What even fit? Okay, just plopping it in. There is actually a new tendril coming out of a node that isn't splashy. So I do want to show you. So this new growth that has these two green leaves. It's coming from this side of the plant that has just the green leaf. I don't know, don't hate me, but I'm gonna just cut it just so it promotes growth at a different node. Okay, goodbye. Okay, so I know it's kind of hard to see, but the trellis looks so good. Are you kidding? This looks so good. Oh, I'm gonna love this when this fills up. And this is why I felt okay with it, because the main vine had the best genetics. So that's this vine kind of at the top here. You can see that the genetics are like perfect. And so I'm hoping from different nodes here, they'll push out a new growth. Specifically, I see, because I did have to train the rest of the vine down, I usually see new growths pop up from the top ones here. Because if we know Hoyas, they always prefer to go up. So there's probably gonna be new growths coming from this node here, which is perfect because it has amazing splash. Maybe this one, same thing. Okay. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm so excited. Okay, so the last clip I showed it on that clear trellis. Obsessed. And it's funny, if Future Kevin could just put a still from that video, look at how like was it like only 2 vines at the time? Like it wasn't even like fully wrapped around the trellis. And I would say 4 months later from that still, we have this beauty. Look at this. Look at the difference in growth. Like Mathilde, again, is so fast. It really is. And I can't believe it again. I can't believe that just the root rot situations and just the constant propagating produce this specimen. I want to say, okay, there's actually 4 vines or 4 separate plants in here. And because I was continuously wrapping it around the trellis, new growth points grew from the existing splashy vines and therefore produced more splashy growths. Like, that is incredible. Again, I'm trying my best to showcase this, but it's very difficult. I feel like I could only showcase this plant if it's like so close. Well, look. Now there are, I mean, on the flip side, you can see some less splashy leaves over here. But I mean, I will take it. I am still debating if I want to propagate this. It's tough. I've said this during plant tour videos, but I'm just scared that then it's gonna produce like vines. I mean, half of this vine is gorgeous, but like it also has solid green leaves on one side. I'm just scared that, you know, possibly the genetics on like a certain side of a stem is not splashy or doesn't have those genetics. And so that's what I'm kind of scared of. So I'm just trying to give it the best care just so she continues to grow at different points, increase my chances of getting more splash. Anytime that, you know, there isn't that much splash, I do cut the vines off. And I did make a less splashy planter. I don't know if did I show that in the last clip? I have no idea. Okay, so I almost forgot to show this, but this is the product from like half splash, half green cuttings that I took from the main plant because I wanted to, first of all, see if the splashing would continue or if the evenness, so if there's gonna be like more splash versus less. So here she is. A leaf just fell. Here she is. So you can see that she is half and half, still splashy. So not as splashy as, you know, that one. And in a plant tour video recently, I did take more cuttings. So, oh, I just spilled a ton of water. Y'all know that I keep the water level really high, but here are the ones that were, I don't learn my lesson, the ones that are super splashy. So hopefully it'll produce more splash similar to the mama. And then I did make another like less splashy planter as well. So you can see a little less. I'm gonna spill again. Oh my God, okay. I'm not really gonna talk about the care specifically, but if you want one, please leave a comment in the section below, like this video. But you can see that she was living in Lishisa Pond. Started out in LECA until she had root rot. I like both those mediums. I've grown Mathildes in Pond and LECA, and they both have grown rapidly, and I recommend both those substrates. The degree of splash is not not because of temperature. It's not because I'm giving it a lot of light. It is purely on the genetics in the plant and the genetics in that new growth point. I want it to be clear, you cannot manipulate what's already in the plant's genetics. Knowing that, that is why coming from, having a plant with that little tiny bit of splash, like there was a little bit of hope, because again, you're not in the node. You don't see what's actually in that stem, what is in that new growth point, you don't know. But there is a higher chance of a new growth producing splash if you see splashing in the leaf on that side of the node. And listen, I've seen both ways. At this point, taken so many cuttings from this plant that there are some 2-leaf cuttings that are super splashy, and for some reason, they push out green leaves, a half and half situation. And so even if you do take a cutting like that is, a good specimen, there is still a chance that it might not produce splash. That's just how things go, unfortunately. But the thing I like about Hoyas though is that they do push out many new growth points from, like, if you cut it. So you do kind of have more chances, as opposed to when you compare it to like a Monstera, like a single node cutting of a variegated Monstera album, for example. You kind of have that one chance with the node, and if that new growth is just fully green, then I'm sorry, that plant is not going to be a highly variegated specimen. I think through all the propagations with this plant and just giving the plant more chances and then selecting from there and taking propagations again, that is what made this. That is what made this. And so I do think, again, it's also luck. Like, there was a chance in that small little plant that I got, there was a chance that the genetics were just gonna be green moving forward, or just minimal splash. But, I was lucky enough to have a specimen that did have splashy genetics somewhere in that small, tiny plant. I am so thankful. And again, the root rot situation, like, I don't think I would have gotten this degree of splash if I didn't propagate it again. And I'm so thankful for that. So, here she is. So let me know, should I propagate this plant? Should I continue to let it grow? Again, in the future, I do want to share the love, and that's the reason why I'm kind of wanting to propagate this plant, because I'm sorry, there aren't like good specimens out there. Even the one that I bought was not really a good specimen if you want this kind of look, because there's a high chance that it's not going to produce leaves like this. So I do recommend getting a plant. I think I've said it in a previous clip where I'm like, just make sure one leaf is splashy. I kind of take that back. You really gotta make sure, you have a specimen that has, I would say like 2 maybe pairs of leaves that are like splashy. I can't believe it. I could talk about this plant all day, and like knowing, and I forgot that it was a year ago that she had root rot. She had root rot a year ago, and look at her now. I saved it, and she's actually more splashy than when she had that. Like, wow. One thing that I'm kind of waiting for is for this plant to bloom. I think, propagating this plant back twice and the root rot situation kind of hindered this plant from blooming. There are a few peduncles. Like, it's not new for Mathildes to push up peduncles. Like, I find growing them, it'll be like a short little vine, there's gonna be peduncles. Like, it's very easy for them to produce them. My regular one has bloomed in the past multiple times. They're actually pretty easy to get to bloom. So again, obsessed. Probably the Hoya of the year. I'm gonna say it now. Just the journey. Again, from that plant to like kind of splashy, but still having predominantly green on it, and then developing a little bit more splash, and then having the root rot, and then propagating it back, and then finally just having something that looks like this. I'm sorry, I know I say luck all the time, but also I did this. This is the best project and experiment that I've done this year, and I don't know, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. Okay, what are y'all's experiences, if you have any, with the Mathilde Splash or Mathilde Silver or whatever? I would love to know. Also, Mathilde Splash versus Mathilde Silver, are they even different? I know technically I'm supposed to be calling this just a regular Mathilde because that is technically the ID. You putting splash or silver isn't technically correct. I'm just using the term splash just to differentiate my regular Mathilde to this one. So it's a splashy variety of Mathilde. Anyhow, wow, I'm so happy. Okay. I was so happy to share this journey today. And again, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.